Okay. Welcome everybody to our online forum. Today we're going to be meeting Alexandra Covaci, and she's going to be talking to us about the AI skill shift, mastering critical thinking, data literacy, and ethical integration. Okay, so over to you, Alexandra.
Thank you. Thank you for the introduction, Hannah. Hello, everybody. I'm Alexandra. I'm based in Italy. I'm currently teaching at the University of Salento in the southern part of Italy, sunny Italy. And I'm completing my doctorate in education at the University of Glasgow. So I know Glasgow very well. Been there a couple of times. I love the city. And today we will be speaking about critical thinking, data literacy, and ethical integration. I will be speaking from an English teacher perspective because I'm teaching English as a second language. So, as Hannah has already said, my slides are not going anywhere. Okay. Don't know what happened to my slides. Okay. So please raise your hand if you have any questions, or we are going to have some activity. So please type your answers in the chat. Okay. So I'm going to take you on a nice journey today. But before we go into we take this time machine and go into this journey, I want that you type in the chat the different means of transport that you used this week. So just type in the chat the different means of transfer that you used, whether you were going to work or to the supermarket. I need to open my chat box here. Car, train, walking, car most days or walk locally. Great. Tram, bus, walking. Great. So we are going to take the time machine right now. And you're probably wondering whether we need a ticket. I mean, you already have the ticket. That's the passion that you have for teaching and the desire to motivate your students in the class every single day. So I do this every time I have a presentation. I include music in my presentations. So the first activity of the evening is I want that you close your eyes and go back, travel back in time. The first time that you stepped into the classroom as a teacher. I'm going to play the music. Please look around the classroom. So the first time that you stepped in as a teacher, think about the materials that you used. Look at the students around you. How did the students react to those materials? So please open your eyes slowly, slowly, and type in the chat all the materials that you saw around you, that you used in your first lesson. Any teaching tools that you used? And how did the students react? Flip chart. I used books, laptop, whiteboard, blackboard with chalk, whiteboard, textbooks, and whiteboard, books, iPhone and speaker, worksheets, a lot of tools, textbook. The students worked well. Good. Cassette player. Oh, like me. I also used cassette player in my first teaching lesson. Great. So we actually used different tools in our classroom. But so we started, I don't know why my slides are sleeping after this nice relaxing music. I don't know what's happening to my slides. Try again. Worked before though. So we had this classroom in which we used a lot of tools to motivate our students. So we started from scrolls. We used chalkboards, textbooks, as you've already written in the chat. I had projectors as well in my classroom, and then I started using my computer, my laptop, internet, and then I used interactive whiteboard. And here we are, AI. We started using AI-powered platforms. And I have to tell you that I was terrified when I started using computers in my classroom because I'm still a pen and paper teacher, even if I'm using a lot of technological devices. So the tools have evolved, but we have remained the same. We still want, our goal is to motivate our students in the classroom. So AI has arrived, actually. AI is a reality nowadays. And many institutions ask us to use AI in the classroom. But why should we use AI in the classroom if we have other tools, if we still have textbooks, if we have the whiteboard, the interactive whiteboard? My answer to that question is that we need to integrate AI into our teaching because we need to model ethical use of AI in the classroom for our students. Because if our students realize that AI can be used ethically and wisely, they will do the same when they are out of the classroom, the same way as they did with any other technological devices. So I think that our role as educators is to model ethical use of AI in the classroom and also outside of the classroom. So I'm proposing these 4 pillars of human AI fluency. I think in order to use AI ethically, we need to develop our critical thinking of our students before presenting any AI tool in the classroom. We need to teach them how to interpret the data, the AI-generated output, and we have to do it throughout our lessons. We need to teach them how to integrate different AI tools, and we have to do it in the classroom, and to teach them how to collaborate with AI. So not to perceive AI as an enemy, but as a collaborator. And we have to model that in the classroom. The first pillar that I'm going to speak about is critical thinking, critical and creative thinking, which I think is this capacity that only humans have, that separates us from machines. Machines do not have creative thinking or critical thinking. So they are trying to replicate human intelligence. AI tries to take all the data from the internet to put everything together in order to generate a text. AI will always give you an answer, but it has been taken from different sources that are available on the internet. So critical thinking, I have here a nice note. I'm quoting Nussbaum that speaks about Socratic pedagogy. She quotes this idea that the unexamined life is not worth living. And this is a very nice book that Nussbaum wrote. And I highly suggest you to read. And I think all educators should include critical thinking in their lessons, whether we are speaking about AI age or not. So why is critical thinking important only nowadays? Critical thinking should be developed in all periods of time. So how do you help your students develop critical thinking? What activities? I want that you type in the chat any critical thinking activities that you incorporate in your classroom. Any critical thinking activities? Open my chat. Any critical thinking activities that you incorporate in your lessons? Debates. Yeah, that's good. Discussion of popular adverts. Discussions about a wiki question. Yeah, discussions. Yeah. Okay. I like the word discussions and debate. Looking at news items, bias, yeah, tasks, for, against, yeah, create problem posing questions about current topics. Yeah, who write, yeah, the purpose of the text. Good. Excellent. So you already do that. So I'm going to speak about, if not slide, different steps to develop critical thinking in the classroom when using AI. So this is what I did with an intermediate group of students at the university. They're studying English as a second language. They're doing their bachelor's degree in English and foreign languages mainly. And I kind of gave them this lesson with the topic, the future of food. So in order to cultivate their curiosity, I asked them to think about the future of food, to think about what type of food they might eat in the future, look up information on the internet, use different resources to find information about the future of food. Then I asked them, if you had this heading, lab-grown meat, what image would you match this heading with, a lab-grown meat? And they said, probably a person in a lab. So they described the photo that was in their head. Then I asked students to write a prompt for an AI. I asked them to use whatever platform they wanted, Gemini or ChatGPT. So I gave them this freedom of choice. And I asked them to put in this prompt, a future kitchen with lab-grown meat. And they looked at the photo that Gemini had generated, and I asked them to observe the photo that they had previously in their head with the photo that AI had generated. So I asked them to think about the differences in the two photos. So one of the students said, yes, I can see that AI included part of my idea from the photo, but forgot to include people, for example, or included only a woman in the kitchen that was connected to the kitchen and not a man. Or the woman was dressed in pink. So my students started observing these details related to the photos that they had in mind and the one that AI had generated. Then in order for them to question the information, I asked them, I told them that you should not believe everything that AI generates. So I told them to put this prompt in the AI platform. Give me 3 reasons why lab-grown meat is better than farming. And AI, so this task helps students interrogate the AI platform. So AI had a simple answer, authoritative, really convincing, and used the verb efficient. So, for example, lab-grown meat is more efficient than farming meat. So I asked the student to ask questions. You said it's more efficient. Why? Like, how much water does it save compared to a cow? So then the student started having a conversation with the AI, questioned the information, the generated statement that the AI had produced. Because many students just take the generated text for good. They think that's good without questioning the information. Then I asked them to analyze the information. So I said, look at the answer that AI had generated and look at the words, adjective, what type of words did AI produce? Adjectives, adverbs, could you use them in your own answer? So students said, yes, AI used sustainable, which is a good word when speaking about eating lab-grown meat or farming. So that's a good word to include in my answer. And of course, they asked AI to also provide pros and cons for each type of activity, lab-grown meat and farming. And then they observed, they analyzed the information. Also, they looked at the adjectives and nouns and verbs, whether they could use those words in their own answer. Some students said, no, I wouldn't, that's too formal. When I speak, I wouldn't use that word in speaking. Others said, yes, this word would be okay when speaking. So this kind of activity helped them analyze the information that AI had generated. And so this kind of, the students kind of evaluated also this evidence that AI had generated. Then I also gave them another activity. I told them to ask the AI for a specific statistic or something that a scientist said. So the students use the traditional research engine to see if AI had actually given them the right information, because we already know that AI can hallucinate or be biased, can be biased. So AI actually made up some information, some things, so the students realize that it's not reliable. So another step of critical thinking would be to help students consider different perspectives. So that AI is very good when you have a text. So if students write a small paragraph about lab-grown meat or farming, they can also put it, make it as a prompt and ask AI to rewrite it from the perspective of a traditional cattle farmer, for example, or an environmental activist. And they kind of observed and compared the two perspectives on the same topic that AI had generated. So they had two versions of the text, and they kind of considered the perspective of an environmental activist that probably used words like carbon footprint, whereas the farmer perspective focused on tradition and other types of words. So kind of the students compared the vocabulary in the two texts. So AI is actually good for that if you teach students how to do it. So the last step of critical thinking is practice effective communication. What does that mean? That after using all these steps of critical thinking, students should kind of write, I mean, they actually wrote around 150 words paragraph on a lab-grown meat, an essay on lab-grown meat. And then they asked AI to write the text, an essay on lab-grown meat. And they compared the two texts, and which was good because they spoke in groups about the differences in style, vocabulary, format. They looked at their format and the one generated by AI. Of course, this was an intermediate level, so AI kind of provided a higher level essay compared to what the students had produced, because if you do not give specific details to AI for the level, then of course AI might produce really high level texts. But the good part of this is students communicated, spoke about everything that they had done with the AI platform in groups. So they reflected, they did this process really slowly. So they didn't just consume what AI had generated and then handed it in. They actually reflected on all the steps when they used AI. So AI is good, but what AI cannot do, we probably know, you all probably know that AI is very, very good at summarizing. So my students use AI sometimes in the classroom to summarize texts, but not. I first ask them to write their summary, and then I ask them to use an AI platform to summarize and then compare. I always do this. So my suggestion would be, when you use AI platforms, ask students to work on the text first, and then use the AI platform and compare their own text with the one written by AI. So it's quite good at summarizing if you write appropriate prompts and matching and everything kind of pattern, the so-called pattern recognition. But what Floridi says, calls this epistemic agency. AI is not good at that. So it's not good of challenging norms, or is not creative. It just takes ideas from different sources on the internet. On the other hand, humans are really good at critical thinking, this ethical judgment that has to be modeled and taught, and creativity and context. We provide the context, because if I have to plan a lesson and use an AI platform, AI does not know my students. They don't know, the AI platform doesn't know the context in which I'm teaching. I have to provide everything. So I'm in charge. I'm using AI as a tool. As I said at the beginning of the presentation, we've been using a lot of teaching tools in these years. So AI is just another tool. Who knows what we're going to have in 20 years? We're not going to have AI probably. So I think that our role as educators is to cultivate this critical thinking in the classroom. And this role so we are not just, we're not filling students with information every day. We need to help them challenge and question everything that they have from the AI platforms. Otherwise, students will end up using AI in an unethical way, or any other technological device. So this is my idea. We need to teach students to critique AI output all the time. This is how I actually started using AI in the classroom. I started using AI in the classroom some years ago, because I didn't want that my students came into the classroom telling me, I'm using this platform. Have you ever heard of it? No, never heard of it. So I just wanted to help them to model ethical use in the classroom. So as I said earlier, the second pillar of this process is data literacy and interpretation. So data literacy and interpretation is, we need to, as I said earlier, we need to help our students question everything they read, everything they see. Do you do any activities with your students in the classroom? Can you please type in the chat whether you do anything related to data literacy and interpretation? How do you help your students? Or what activities do you use in the classroom? Okay, you have discussions about data literacy, travel projects using online data. Okay. Good. So what I do with my students, whether I'm teaching, I don't know, past or the causative or whatever I have to teach in that day, I have this, I, I use games with my students at the university and or adults. I use games all the time. And I ask them, I think I have other messages, sorry. Data forms part of a lot. I can't see the other message of my reading materials, which statements are true, false, according to the data. Yeah, that's a good one. So as I was saying, I use this game, Two Truths and a Lie. I think you're probably familiar with this game, and they love this game because if I'm teaching something related to vocabulary or grammar, I ask them to use that vocabulary or grammar and in their own sentences. But the last thing that I actually did this morning, yes, we had the grammar lesson. I can share it with you. Not the whole lesson, of course, but I asked them to Google pieces of news. So two should be true and one fake. But of course, my student asked me, how are we going to know which one is true and which is fake? So I asked them to use different resources in order to verify whether the piece of news was good or was true or false. And for I related to pieces of news, I asked them to find out strange, crazy regulations around the world, rules and regulations, and use them with the vocabulary or grammar that I taught them that they and make up or find a fake one on the internet. And of course, not many students know how to verify whether the piece of news is true or false. So I think we need to teach that. It's our role as we're not just language teachers. This is what I think. I'm not a language teacher. I'm more than that. I need to teach them how to become, critical citizens around outside of the classroom and use the language and critical thinking in other fields as well. Just my slides are not helping me today. Okay, so as I said earlier, the limits of these AI-generated text, they're not a reflection of actually lived experience. We have these hallucinations. So one of my students used citations from an author, and I brought the book in the classroom, and of course but not to punish. So we should not do this to punish students. It's just to teach them. So that it's important to verify everything that AI generates. So I did not do this with a negative intention. So I actually opened the book and I said, there is no citation here at page 52. So they said, of course, the student replied that he thought that AI would have generated accurate citations and true information and not false. And it also, this risk that AI use is bias, as we've already said, or black box opacity. So our role as researchers is kind of to teach them this being suspicious all the time toward all these outputs that AI platforms generate. So we should probably give this checklist to the students in the classroom. When using AI tool, we should ask them to verify all cited sources independently, identify, the potential data sets too. So this is something I actually introduced some checklists in the classroom at the beginning of my academic year. But then after a couple of months, my students actually added some other bullet points on my checklist because they were the ones that realized that there were other things to take into consideration when analyzing the AI outputs. So the important thing is to teach our students never treat AI output as a primary source. Go to other parts and compare everything with what AI has generated. And as I said earlier, we have to do it with them. We can't just tell them, do this. So we have to model it in the classroom, use AI in the classroom so that they are aware of how to do it at home. So I think we've already, I'm going to skip something. So we're going to go straight to the third pillar, which is this ethical AI integration. So we need to pay attention when we use AI in the classroom and ask students if they are using an AI platform to brainstorm ideas, they need to acknowledge that. They need to tell us that they've used it. They should not hide. But we can't ask them to do that unless we are open and we speak to them at the beginning of the academic year. Because there are probably educators that mark down students that realize that have probably used AI for brainstorming or making lists. But we should not do that. Students should see that they can trust us. Because if they see that we are open, we've been talking about AI integration, we taught them how to use it in the classroom, we showed them the process, we modeled everything, then they are more likely to acknowledge it without feeling under pressure or hiding from us. Of course, we have to take into consideration some other aspects, some other risks of using AI in the classroom, which are academic dishonesty. So we already know that even if we model ethical use in the classroom, we might have this academic dishonesty. So what do we do about that? I think in the future, the way assessments are made is going to change, because what I do with my students in my university is the journey is as important as the destination. So the process is as important as the outcome. So we kind of assess both in the same way. Because if students just want to come with a perfect essay, they don't care about the process, do they? They're not going to waste time reflecting and thinking about all the things. But if they know that we value and we assess the process in the same way as we do with the final product, which is the essay, they are more likely to be honest. When I ask students to use AI platforms, I'm worried about their privacy, of course. because when they access different AI platforms, they need to uh, access them throughout their email address, or when they upload different documents. That's a problem because there's the copyright risk. So we need to uh, kind of warn students about this. And I'm still worried about using AI in the classroom. I sometimes ask them when I want to improve their speaking skills to use AI tools that they already have. They've already been using them for a couple of years. So I don't just go and say, use this platform, because then they might have this another platform. So this erosion of privacy. And I used the last thing that I used with them was Alexa as a chatbot, because they all have Alexa at home, so they don't need to kind of feed this AI platform. So they just brought it at school, so which was quite easy, and analyzed what Alexa was saying. Another point to take into consideration is the socioeconomic disparity, because if there are students that are able to, of course, use AI because they have high internet connection, we're going to have this digital divide. So this is something that worries me, because I live in the southern part of the country, where in some parts we don't have good internet connection. So not many students can access AI tools. So it's something that worries me, and I need to take that into consideration as well in the future. And another thing that worries me is sustainability, because large-scale AI computing carries this significant carbon footprint, which means we are in trouble, because we are kind of polluting the environment. It's not sustainable. I'm going to go straight to this one. Collaboration with AI tools, which is the final pillar. So, as I said at the beginning of the presentation, we should not look at AI as an enemy. We should try and introduce it as a partner, as a collaborator in the classroom with the students. So the so-called the co-intelligence model that Malik speaks about. So we're not just delegating, we're not saying, AI platform, you can replace me as a teacher. We are trying to work with AI, because AI can do some things. I'm a human and I can do other things that AI cannot do. So AI, the human provides this vision, this context, and the ethical use, but the AI, on the other hand, provides speed. And of course, together we can work better as a partner. This is term coined by Malik, calls it co-intelligence, which he defines as a symbiotic relationship that elevates both parties. So what can AI do well in the academia or as teachers? Lesson planning. So if I have a class with special needs students, and my course books do not address special needs students, so I use AI in order to make some materials, to introduce some materials for dyslexic students, for example, which is great. I can differentiate tasks very easily. And I can also draft these rubrics very, very quickly, but then I have to reread them. And thanks to my critical thinking, I refine them. I do not use them as AI generates them. And AI is also good, as I said, to generate different perspectives. When we spoke about this lesson about lab-grown meat, so we can ask AI to produce two different texts from two different perspectives, and ask students to compare the vocabulary and the register. So this is, when we speak about prompt engineering, this is quite a technical term. So when the so-called prompt, because I saw a lot of even courses, how to write prompts well. So we kind of craft the prompt if we want AI to do something, but we frame the context, we give the context. AI has no clue about the context, so we have to include details about our context, teaching context, our students, our level. Then we refine this iteration, so we change it, we make it better, we improve it, we see what AI generates for us, and then we evaluate. We see, is that applicable to my context, to my students? Can I use it? Or is it something that does not apply to my student? So this is what AI is good for. It's very, very fast. It can take this drudge work away. Of course, we're going to have enough time to mentor our students, to listen to our students, something that to connect with our students, something that no machine can replicate. So we're not going to be probably, well, I use AI for lesson planning, and I don't spend so many hours as I did 20 years ago when I started teaching. So when I go into the classroom, I listen to my students. I have enough energy to produce games, to play games with them. So this is something, my students will always remember me, not the AI that I'm using, because I am connecting with them. They are probably going to say, yeah, she used a different tool, an alternative tool, but they are not going to remember probably the tool. So some takeaways from today. So we are not dispensers of information anymore. We don't fill our students' brain with information, but we try to help them challenge the information that they find on AI platforms, on the internet. So our role, I think, as educators has shifted. We, of course, help them and teach them to read critically from any, not only AI platforms, but any technological device they are using, whether TikTok, social media, whatever. We teach them how to act ethically. So we help them use AI ethically in the classroom. And we also teach them to collaborate with the AI to make the AI platform as a partner. So this is some interesting things that I found. I did some research on regarding sustainability and AI. I'm going to give you a couple of seconds to look at the figures and So on the one hand, AI is not sustainable. On the other hand, AI is used as a sustainability tool. So it's actually used in smart grids. So AI balances this energy supply and demand in real time, also allowing us to integrate more unstable renewable resources into this power grid. And it's also used for agriculture. So it is used, it's not sustainable, but it is used as a sustainability tool. So the challenge, the goal, I think, for 2026, I don't think it's only for 2026. I think it's, we hope, only for 2026 and beyond. Yeah, it's not really to stop using it, AI, because we're not going to stop using it, but it's to make sure that the carbon it saves is greater than the one that it creates, which is a challenge. Just some references that I used and some interesting information that I found related to sustainability. So yeah, this is interesting. The frontier is ours to shape. So what's our role is to teach our students to use AI ethically and wisely, but to remind them that it's just a tool. We're just using it as a tool because it's a machine. We are the human that AI wants to copy and replicate. So, any questions or reflections, and warmly welcomed. I think I have finished a little bit.
Yes, we've got thank you very much. Thank you, Alexandra. We've got yeah, we've got a bit of time for questions and comments and reflections. If are you okay for people just to unmute themselves maybe and
Yes,
if they want
please.
to
I
talk, or
will,
we can
yeah,
monitor the chat.
I will stop sharing so I can see them. It's nice to see their
Yeah.
faces. Any worries, or anyone that has used AI and is worried about? Have you used it in your contact?
I have to say that I came to this as a complete AI novice. Um, I've never used it, and well, not knowingly anyway. So I was really interested to, and you have ideas and biases. And so I was interested to hear how it could be used and how you approached it. So thank you. That was great. I don't know if anyone else has anything they want to ask. Okay. Rebecca's asking, have you experienced resistance to AI amongst students, and how do you respond to that?
So I'm teaching university students, high school students, and primary school students. So primary school students, what I found really, really surprising is that they had been using AI for 3 or 4 years now, and they are 10. So, no, my answer would be no. I haven't experienced any resistance, but I have experienced resistance. Um, my colleagues were resistant to using AI in their teaching. So they sometimes said, I gave my students a piece of writing and they came with a perfect piece of writing. How is that possible? So I said, that's called AI. So yeah, I've experienced resistance from my colleagues, which I'm still experiencing, which is normal because I was resistant to technology before the pandemic. I hated technology. I didn't like technology at all. So I'm still pen and paper person. But then I realized that my students knew more than I did. So I didn't know how to help them. So I had to kind of catch up and see how I could help them use technology wisely. So I kind of guided them towards using that tool, but thoughtfully outside of the classroom.
Thank you. We've got another question from, I think, Vishenka. I work as an ESOL tutor and while preparing my students for interview, noticed they use AI looking for the answers. How do you balance that in terms of online education? And then there's another one from Natalia.
Okay, so
So I don't, looking for authors to check for her literature review on her dissertation on AI for lesson planning. Oh, okay. Interesting. So I don't know which
so
you want
the
to
first
take.
one
Mhm.
was responding using AI to find respond to some questions.
To find answers to questions,
Like
interview
what type of
questions.
questions? Interview questions.
Mhm. Oh,
To be more specific, like what type? Like test during a test or
oh, I don't know. Maybe wait for some more info.
yeah, because I had a student. It's interesting. I had a student who was preparing for a PhD interview and in philosophy, and she said she used AI to brainstorm some questions that she would get in a normal PhD interview. So she said that the platform actually provided her the questions that are usually asked uh, when applying for a PhD in philosophy. And she thought at the answers, but she knew, of course, during the interview, she didn't get any of those. So she actually realized that AI was hallucinating. So it depends on, but students can experiment, but not if they don't know how to use the tool, they will use it in a wrong way because cheating has been kind of I had cheating 20 years ago. Students cheating in my lessons. They used to write on post-its or they tried to cheat in the test. So just cheating is digital now because they don't know how to use it in a different way. So sometimes, yeah, I don't know. That's a different question. That's a
Mm.
difficult question. I have to reflect on that. Yeah, reflection helps.
Natalia is asking if you could share some references with her. She's currently working on her dissertation on AI for lesson planning, and she was wondering if you could give advice on any authors that she should check out for her literature review for her
Okay.
dissertation.
I am typing my email in the chat and please send me an email, Natalia. I would be happy to help you. You're welcome.
Lindsay says that she found your session very insightful, and she didn't use AI before because she thought it restricted critical thinking. But after having listened to your presentation, she sees the importance of at least acknowledging it and using methods to, and sharing methods to use AI to promote critical thinking and ethical use. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, it's just my experience. This is what I do in the classroom. I might be wrong, but I think we need to experiment. We have to cultivate our curiosity, not only teach it to our students. So I see my primary school pupils are so curious about whatever I take in the classroom. They are so curious. So I think cultivating curiosity for us educators, it makes us feel like children again. I think.
And I have a question, if I may. So, as a researcher, are you happy for AI to use your work and your output, your academic output, as data?
So I do not use AI to rephrase my.
No, I'm not saying that you're using AI. I'm saying that when you write an academic article, that through the publisher, or through it being available freely on platforms, AI will then use it.
Yeah.
They'll not ask you, Alexandra, is it okay if I take your
Yeah,
whole
that's true.
text and use it for data and data collection and data processing? So how do you
Yeah.
feel about your work being used by AI for somebody else's summaries and somebody else's output or input?
Yeah, that's a good question. Thank you for this question. Um, well, on the one hand, I don't like this type of use of uh, my information, my data, everything that I wrote in the article. So there are some platforms that I hope they have ethical use
Mm.
of the data, but I need to do more research on that
Mm.
because I think there's a difference between the AI platforms. So they have some restrictions and limitations, some of them, others do not have any. So when using an AI platform, um, I suggest you read everything is that you have to know about that platform, whether it uses um, information from the article that is free. Because if your article is open source, then yeah,
Yeah.
it's debatable.
Yeah. And we want our articles to be free at the point of use because we believe that education should be for all. So it's a real trap, isn't it? Making articles open source.
It is in a way, but if we can help in any way, then would we do we have to put do we have to eliminate open source if we think that education should be for everyone?
Yeah, catch 22, isn't it?
Yeah,
Thank you
it's a
for
good
your
one.
answer.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. If there aren't any more questions, there's lots of comments saying thank you for a thought-provoking presentation, an interesting and insightful presentation. So thank you very much. And yes, I just want to um, give Alexandra our thanks for coming along to Natekla Scotland's online forum and presenting. And Orshi has just put the link to the feedback form in the chat. So if you want to leave some feedback on the presentation, that would be really helpful. And
Or I can
after,
share the QR, sorry. I
oh
can
yes, if
share
you can
the,
share the QR code
yeah,
as well, that would be
sorry.
brilliant. Um, and then after we leave, the a video of the presentation will be available on our YouTube channel. And I think we're going to pop the link to that in the chat as well. So that's a QR code for the feedback if that's easier for you than the link. And thank you very much again. And
Thank
I
you.
am
Thank
going
you.
to end the recording now, if that's all right. Thank you.
Thank you. It was great. Was really excited about this. Thank you so much.